What's up, everyone? This is Silver Slayer, and welcome to my daily 2 p.m. silver stacking video. Thank you for tuning in to probably the most mind-blowingly crazy, insane educational video I've ever made on my channel. I genuinely mean that, and I think you're going to as well. What am I talking about? What if I could show you, physically show you, how much silver is held on the SLV compared to a house, or maybe a truck, or maybe even a person? What if I could show you how much silver's been lost throughout history compared to a house, or maybe a truck, or maybe a person? Well, we're doing that today, folks. We get to see how much silver 1,000 tons looks like compared to a lady sitting on a couch. We get to see all of this, but I took it a step further. You know me, I always like diving deeper, and we are doing the same thing with $100 bills. It shows debt, it shows massive amounts of debt, and it puts it in perspective to the Eiffel Tower, to a crane, even what $1 trillion looks like laid out in front of the White House. I mean, you can't get much better than this. Then they go into Medicare, they go into pensions, everything that has to do with our financial system, and the American, put it in numbers, put it in perspective in a way that we can actually visualize it. You just can't beat that. So make sure you like this video. Make sure you're subscribed as well, because I'm doing my 48,000 subscriber giveaway, and the entry video is getting posted today. Make sure you click the bell, or you might miss the entry video, and today will be your chance to win some silver. So don't miss it. Click the bell. Stay tuned later on in the day for that video to drop. So let's jump into this. Silver. So it's visualized in bullion bars. So this infographic shows all silver ever mined throughout history. Silver price is currently hovering around $30 an ounce. So when silver price hits $31, each gram of silver will be exactly $1. Silver is usually measured in troy ounces, and that's about 1.09 regular ounces. So we go into a silver size chart. This is a chart of standard silver bullion size comparison. So now down here, we look at some different weighted bars. We see a troy ounce looks pretty small compared to a $100 bill or a Swiss knife, and you can see 250 grams of silver, and this could be a great tool to use if you want to see how big your bars are, or what it compares to a dollar. Then we go over here, which this is pretty cool because you see a kilogram of gold versus a kilogram of silver, and you can see the gold is slightly smaller. That same principle applies to eagles. If you ever get a gold eagle and a silver eagle, the gold one is a lot smaller. This graph is interesting right here. This is visualizing what $1 million worth of silver looks like. And you can see there's a $100 bill down here, a pen. So if you had a $100 bill and you bought $1 million worth of silver, that is what it would look like. Now, this is spot price at $31, but I think that's close enough to what spot price is today that still would look something like this. And that's just really cool. I mean, $1 million worth of silver sounds like a lot, but if you look at this picture, it doesn't look like that much, does it? Maybe it does to you, but to me, if I'm sitting at a desk right here and this is my $100 bill and that's my pen, and I had all that silver in front of me, it wouldn't feel like that's $1 million. Maybe, I don't know, maybe in person it would feel a lot bigger, but I don't know. What do you think about that? So, let's keep on going. So here's 1,000 tons of silver compared to a lady sitting on a couch, and it's also taller. Below the lady sitting on the couch is a man, which is also compared to the height of this 1,000 tons, which is just insane. And then we have down here, and this is what I like about this graph, because see the objects that it compared it to in the beginning, where you could see how big a troy ounce is to a Swiss Army knife. It still uses that Swiss Army knife down here and the previous graph. So that's the troy ounce of silver compared to a ton of silver, compared to 100 tons of silver, compared to 1,000 tons of silver, which is just insane. insane. And you can also see the $1 million right there as well. So that's what $1 million looks like compared to 100 tons of silver. It's just mind-blowing to put these things in perspective. I'm really excited, and here's where we go into actual numbers of the SLV, US Eagle, minting, private bullion, COMEX. So this is going to be fun right here. So the world silver reserves is 29,665 tons, official holdings. So the world governments have practically zero silver reserves. It costs to store precious metals, and the value has not been significant compared to gold and other precious metals. So you can see the SLV is 9,185 tons. So that's about, you see this 1,000 tons, about 10 times that. You can see the US Eagle minting is around 7,477 tons. Private bullion, 3,732 tons. LBMA, and that's the London Bullion Market Association, which is around 2,300 tons. Central Fund of Canada, silver ETF. So just, it's just really interesting to put these things in perspective. You can't even see that 1 troy ounce bar. And look how small the $1 million looks, right? And look at that $1 million compared to a truck. I mean, trucks are pretty big, but they're not that big. But that $1 million barely covers the door handle to that semi-truck. So here's where we get into some really crazy numbers, and just to try to put this in perspective is just, it's not even possible. So silver currently in existence, which is 700,000, so 777,275 tons. This is all silver in existing forms, not just accessible, purchasable in silver reserves. So we're looking at in existence. And look how big that is compared to that tiny little lady sitting on that couch, or that house, or the non-existent Swiss Army knife, or that little tiny anthill of $1 million, right? It's just so cool. So silver lost throughout history, which is 600,000 tons. I mean, that's how much silver's been lost throughout history. And that's because most silver is thrown away since it's used for electronics. If this was gold, if this block was gold, most of this gold would still be in circulation, because most gold is used for jewelry, coinage, earrings, watches. So people pawn that, and then it gets remelted into more jewelry, bars, earrings, necklaces. But silver gets thrown away when someone's done with that laptop or that car or whatever the silver is used for. It gets thrown away, never to be re-scrapped, where gold is almost always recycled. So you can see all the gold mined in history, which is 166,000 tons. And look what that looks like. But remember, gold is a lot more dense, so it's going to look smaller compared to silver. So here's all the silver mined in history, which is 1,411,475 tons. So if we look at that, remember that 1,000 ton, imagine that 1,000 ton bar or cube or whatever that would be, comparing that to 1,411,000. And remember, you can put that in perspective, comparison to a person. So it's just mind-boggling to see some of these numbers. So yeah, I mean, I thought that was really interesting. And then we look at the historical cumulative gold to silver production ratio is 10-1. And then we're looking at the gold to silver ratio is currently 50-1. Now, this was when silver was $30 an ounce. And I would say the gold to silver ratio is, throughout history, has always been, well, not the gold to silver ratio. The ratio coming out of the ground, most would argue, is 8-1. And I guess naturally, the average gold to silver ratio is, I guess, 75-1 in today's times, but throughout history, it was around 8-1 or 16-1, because that's around what it came out of the ground, and that's why the ratio was like that until 1930. FDR got in office, changed it from 16 to 1 to 75 to 1. But anyway, that's a whole different video. Now we're looking at the U.S. debt ceiling visualized in $100 bills. I mean, come on, folks. Can you get much better content than this? Make sure to like this video. Make sure to leave a nice comment. Share this video. People need to see this because this stuff is crazy. It really puts in perspective some of these numbers that we talk about all the time. So, United States owes a lot of money. And we're actually around $29 trillion in debt now. United States owes a lot of money, and as of 2012, U.S. debt is larger than the size of the economy. The debt ceiling is currently set at $16, and we're looking at, wait, why did they write it like that? Set at $16 trillion and approaching rapidly. So they're trying to say 16 trillion, I guess, but now it's around $29 trillion in debt. If you go to usdebtclock.org, you can see a live counter. And with the massive amount of overspending from Joe Biden, with stimulus and even throwing trillions into the Green New Deal, it's just going to get worse a lot faster. I mean, the dollar's lost 98% of its purchasing power, 44% in the last 20 years. It's getting worse a lot faster. So let's look at this. So here's a $100 bill. And this is what $10,000 looks like. And this is what $1 million looks like. And then here's $100 million compared to a lady sitting on a couch. And the lady sitting on the couch is sitting on around $46.7 million. So that's a $46 million couch right there. And that's what it would look like if you had that much cash and you made a couch out of it and invited a lady over. And she sat on it, that's what it would look like. So, remember that $46 million couch? This is what $1 billion would be looking like if you stacked all that and put it behind her. That's pretty crazy. So, here's something that Thomas Jefferson said. I predict the future happiness for Americans if they can prevent the government from wasting the labors of the people under the pretense of taking care of them. So here's what $1 trillion looks like compared to a jet or an airplane, the White House, a truck. I mean, it's insane to think about. See that $1 billion and then see this $1 trillion? That's why the human brain cannot fathom how much bigger of a number $1 billion is, or $1 trillion is to $1 billion. See how that lady on the couch is she could walk right there to that $1 billion. She could walk around it in probably a minute. Look how big $1 trillion is. That's why when I say back in the day, 2008 to 2011, it was $1 billion stimulus. Nowadays, it's $1 trillion stimulus. Now can you see why I kept saying how much bigger of a number that is and how the human brain can't fathom how much big? Because I always said that every time I brought up 2008 to 2011 financial credit crisis compared to nowadays, back then it was billions of dollars in stimulus. Now it's trillions of dollars. Now do you see why I always tried to emphasize how much more money is getting thrown out today than back then, which back then led silver to $50. So imagine what it could do in today's times. So now, here's a U.S. debt ceiling, which back then was $16 trillion. Now it's sitting around $29 trillion. And this is what it looks like compared to the Eiffel Tower, the Statue of Liberty, to a crane, to two trucks, to $1 million. That's probably the bill. No, that is $1 million. I mean, holy crap, ladies and gentlemen. Holy crap. That's how much money we owe. And it's actually much bigger than this now, since back then was 16 and now it's nearly doubled this. It's nearly doubled this. And this is the scale. This is what the Statue of Liberty would look like surrounded by how much money we owe. But just double that, and that's what it really looks like. That is just something so insanely scary to look like. And this is all $100 bills, by the way. right? This infographic visualizes how $16 trillion of debt looks stacked in physical $100 bills compared to the Statue of Liberty, compared to a massive crane. I mean, wow. 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 I mean, I don't even know what to say. It's just holy. What do you think about all this? Has this really put things in perspective for you? Has it really shown the severity? I think the one that I think is most important to look at was the $1 billion versus the $1 trillion. Because when we're talking about trillions getting thrown out, even if we say $3 trillion thrown out in stimulus or in Green New Deal, people think, oh, $3 trillion, that's not bad. But that is a massive number. We got desensitized to the number a trillion. Because they think, oh, billion, trillion, right? Million, billion, trillion. I mean, it's just one up. That's a massive change. And that has a lot bigger of an effect than I think people can fathom. And here's $1 trillion, and here's $1 trillion tower. So I like how they put that graph. That's what $1 trillion looks like. And this is what $1 trillion looks like. That's what $1 trillion looks like laid out, and this is what $1 trillion looks like stacked up. So just crazy. Great, I guess, article and great visualization. I'm really glad that they did this so we can put everything in perspective, and I'm glad they did this with silver as well. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I thought this is a really cool video. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you share this video, comment, do anything, because I would love for people to see this stuff. I think it is important to understand what we're dealing with, and just some of this information is just so interesting to see how much silver on the SLV, what that looks like compared to a house. I mean, how cool is that? I just think this was such a cool video, and I'm glad I got to share it with you all. So yeah, make sure you are subscribed, click the bell, because I am doing a silver giveaway today, and you will get a chance to win some of that silver. Also, make sure you're subscribed, because I post daily videos. Thanks for tuning in. This was Silver Slayer. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.